and we'll let, when we're all done here, we'll let Satish kind of close us out. But so thank you so much for coming. So I'll start us off with a question, which is not an uncommon question to ask writers. So I'll get this one out of the way. Where do you get your ideas? That's a very frequent question, and we'll just let you guys chime in when you're ready.
Ready?
I worked with a writer once who said that you should write about your obsessions, the things that you can't get rid of through any other means. So it's never anything I'm very conscious of. When I sit down, there are certain things that are always tugging at my shirt sleeve. They don't leave me alone, and they pretty much own me. So I don't get my ideas, they sort of get me. That's where mine come from. It's a mystery to me. I don't know where that vault is, but...
Thank you. I guess for my ideas, a lot of my plot ideas and such are kind of rooted from stories that like influenced me when I was a kid. In terms of like Beware the Eels and stuff, my influences for that were I wanted to kind of write an allegory about war, and I had a bunch of buddies come back from Iraq and Afghanistan with issues, and I wanted to write about that, but I didn't feel it was appropriate to write about a setting I had never been to, something like that. So I just decided to put it in Beware the Eels. So that's pretty much it. I just kind of go where the plot takes me.
Okay. So I was asked to write like a 10-word bio once. I was like, what do I do for this? I'm a prose writer, so writing 10 words to describe myself was very difficult. And I came up with myths here intertwined with the reality there. And so, I mean, definitely the world around me, that's a huge influence, and I like to just kind of bring the fantasy and the stories into it, just to chain it up, make it interesting and fascinating to me. I think the real answer for me, though, really is practice, and just to keep at it. The more you write, the more ideas kind of come at you. There's a wonderful myth that we're just born with this great ability and we have a wonderful imagination, but it's work. You keep at it, you keep going. What I like about being a fiction writer, and especially like a novel writer, is that I get to have one idea and then I build upon that idea over and over and over and over again. I'm envious of poets who, every single poem in something has to be a new idea that they kind of come about. And I like that being a fiction writer, I can just kind of keep going, just keep going. And there's the discipline of not thinking too hard about it, because if you think too hard about what you're writing, you won't get anything written. You just have to just keep writing and feel it. So that's it.
Well, I have a stockpile of questions in my brain, but I want to see if anybody who is here today to listen to the readers has a question that they would like to ask, and not to put you on the spot, but I'll bring the mic over so people can hear you, because we've got lots of little sounds here. So anybody have a question for our writers today? Do they all have books published? So, and I think I'll just kind of add on to that question. Do you all have books published? And if not, perhaps you do, but if not, what are some other avenues that you have found for getting published?
I got my novel is published online through Amazon's Kindle. So that's published, and then I've submitted to online literary journals as well. And my website has links to some short stories. So yeah, that's my title.
I don't have a book published yet. I publish through literary journals right now. I'm working on an essay collection and a short story collection, and it depends on the day. Some days I think I'm 3/4 of the way through an essay collection and halfway through a short story collection, and other days I wake up and think I'm starting from scratch on both of them. But right now I'm published in literary journals, and to give you some idea, I have maybe 40 submissions out right now to different literary journals at a time. Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, like a similar story with me. I try to publish a lot of online literary journals, and some of them are printed also. That's kind of where I started getting things published. Over the summer, I self-published Beware the Ills on Amazon Kindle program, and then through their publisher trade space. And I also, twice a week, write a blog called the Greenland Diaries, which is another fictional serial blog. And that is something I put out every week, you know, and that's always fresh material, so that's free to look at. That's pretty much it. I mean, it's hard enough doing stuff like that.
The additional part of my question regarding whether you had books published was, what are some other avenues you have found to get published? I think you've addressed some of those things, and certainly the online and self-publishing and the direct to ebook is a venue that lots of writers, I shouldn't say lots, but some writers are out can be very effective. Other questions? Yeah?
I was just wondering if,
I'm out of line. You gotta come. Yes. Get the mic, girl.
like if there's locations for people who do spoken word, like more specifically, because I mean, I can find places or have places that have like, what's the word I want to use? Artists, but that, oh, sorry. But artists is such a wide range that I end up being the only spoken word artist there, and that's fine and everything, but I also want to go to those places so that I can collaborate with people and like kind of meet other people who, because when you do end up meeting them, your conversations are different. So that's my only issue, is finding an actual place that has more of that versus less, you know, so that you can conversate and, you know, kind of get to know people that have the same interests. So.
You said not so much rap, but more spoken word.
No, yeah, more spoken word or like poetry, spoken. So now music. Oh, Nicole.
So Nicole's looking for opportunities or venues where she could work on and collaborate with other spoken word artists, not so much rap, but more poetry, and she finds sometimes when she goes, checks things out, she's not sure she's got the right path to these places, so.
From my knowledge, there are several open mic avenues in the Twin Cities. One that I know of one called Barbaric Job, and that's an open mic, and you can bring whatever creative work you want. And it's a mix of everything. That's what you get with open mics. Some poetry, some spoken word poetry. There's one that happens at a place called Golden Time, and by Tish Jones. That's primarily more spoken word avenue. And I'm trying to think, there are calendars and websites online that just list all these places. And it really would take, I think, just a Google search.
Tried that.
You did? Okay.
Everything was expired or shut down.
I would try Rain Taxi's literary calendar. I'll write that down.
Okay. Rain Taxis and then Hazel and Ren, they have a literary calendar as well. Just one thing that I try and do with my project with Clark World is I try and get a mix of different voices in to each reading. So again, those fiction, poetry, and spoken word, they're out there. And there's another one that happens at Groundswell Coffee Shop. These are all St. Paul places, this is what I'm familiar with. And the one that happens at Groundswell is called Poetry for Thought.
Groundswell?
Yeah. That's run by Justin James, and he's always, all of these, like me, Justin James, Tish Jones, Christopher Teitel, these are all people who run these respective places. We're always interested in having new voices come in. We're there to promote new voices coming in. So definitely check those out.
Also try the Loft. I know they offer a grant every year to spoken word artists, or every other year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I think they have a reading series that is spoken word, and you also might think about starting your own, because the Twin Cities has no shortage of enthusiastic writers, and I swear to you, if you say this is something I want to do, you will be shocked at the number of people who say, I want to do it with you. Start with 2 or 3 people who you know and publicize it through the Lakeville community board, and hopefully have yourself a custom-made reading series.
Any additional thoughts, Patrick?
I don't know anything about spoken word. I mean,
He's kind of like
I've
not
listened to
picking
it
up the
before.
mic there, so.
I've listened to it before and really enjoyed it, but I've never done spoken word before, but I have a lot of respect for people who can do it because I think it's just awesome. But yeah, the Twin Cities has like a really great literary community, and I'm sure if you build it, they will come. Yeah, so there you go.
It's more a selfish question because I'm like just listening to you guys is like, okay, if I don't pick this up again, I might shrivel up in that.
That's okay.
That's like a writer to me.
That does sound, that's exactly like a writer. The reasons I like, and one thing I'll say is like coffee shops that so far, this is the second festival I've done, and coffee shops love it when you have events at their places because it brings in customers. They're there as community gathering spaces. So if you find a place that you're comfortable with, and as far as starting your own, a lot of them start as open mics, and then I've seen like touring groups get together. And if you want to be on stage, you don't have to wait for an invitation. I never waited for an invitation, and I've just been kind of getting on. And I like to think people are enjoying it. I get 5 or 6 other writers there, so it's not all about my ego. And it's just, you just kind of have to get there and do it. But if you've got stuff that you want to share, you can share it.
Oh yeah, I've got stuff. Where? Thank you.
I'm glad you came today, Nicole. Nicole, you and I are going to talk later.
Okay.
Right? Okay. Good. Other questions? And you can be more of a reader than a writer if you have questions as a reader. Satish has a question.
Actually, for Jennifer, you run the Prism workshop. How, like, I don't know where to start with questions. Like, what is that like? How does that influence your writing? Working there, I have so many questions.
You're so brave to ask me, because I'll take 3 hours to tell you all about it.
That's kind of what that is.
Sure. So, yep, I run the Minnesota Prison Writing Workshop, and we're basically a group of writers who teach in Minnesota prisons. Sometimes we do it for free, and sometimes we do it with state arts board funding. We have every type of writer teaching there, and we're in all of many of the state's facilities. So the level 5 maximum security at Oak Park Heights, Stillwater level 4, Lionel Lakes level 3. We teach in a lot of the facilities. And your question was, the one main way that it's influenced my writing. I don't know if you've ever heard this quote. I always draw a blank when I meet to the man who said it. It's a playwright, but he said, "To change your language, you must change your life." And I firmly believe that that's true. You can't. I firmly believe that you can't change the depth of your work on the page until you change the depth of the person who's doing the writing. But I don't know that it happens instantly. I will say one weird conflict is that that thing I said earlier about what obsesses you, what can't you put down, what can you not stop thinking about. For me, often that's the students that I'm working with in prison and their stories, which really weigh on me. And I do write about it, but it's not easy to write about it because they're, they have confidentiality there, issues, such a delicate thing. So when I have written about it, I explain to people that it feels like I'm trying to take someone to a very, very important place that not many people have seen. But to get there, we have to cross through a field of landmines. My students oftentimes have been in prison for 10 years, 20, some of them are never leaving. And I have never been more profoundly impressed by the power of words than sitting through class and listening to their stories, because many of them are beyond rock bottom. They've been sitting at rock bottom for a decade, and words are their only escape, and some of them are telling stories that they've never told in their lives. They're powerful and important, and it reminds me every single time I go to class what an amazing thing words and stories are. So if anything, it's just giving me a huge, deep respect for what we're doing. Yeah, I'll stop now.
just about out of time. We said we'd be ending at 2:30, but I want to just invite any other additional questions that we might have. Sometimes people like to meet the writers and have a few minutes to meet the writers so that we're sure to end on time. And then we've got, Patrick, you have some copies of your book if people are interested. And Satish, you have copies of the St. Paul Almanac if people are interested. And Satish, did you bring some of your cards today as well? Okay, all right, so if you want a business card, you can check in with Satish. So thank you again to Satish.